Good morning, all. Hope you're doing well. TGIF. We've had a good week, so I'm quite happy. We had a hit rate of 100% on our trade of the day and max bubbles. Well, that being said, Aussie Swiss didn't do anything on Wednesday, but Thursday it did perform well. So I'd say we had like a perfect hit rate. We just had to have a little bit of patience for the Aussie Swiss, and it did propel higher, which is pretty cool. So I'm very happy with the trial. And hope you didn't become too overwhelmed because there is a lot of information, but you can mute the channels in Discord. If there's too much, you can just simply mute those channels, and that's the best way to do it. And then once you've become acclimatized to the data and the analysis, then you can unmute, and then you can check the stuff out that I put in there. But there is a lot of stuff that goes out on a daily basis, but it does calm down about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and right, so the risk calculation is that we're still quite crowded. There's 8 people trying to short indices versus the one person buying, so they're still very bearish. VIX is below its yearly pivot, which is the 52-week midpoint. The 24-hour difference, it's quite a big chunk on the big picture. If you remember, we were minus 12 last Friday, and now we're minus 8, so they're definitely shifting on their bias, and there's the bubbles there. So this is the only time you'll get to see the bubbles unless you subscribe to the premium tier, and or you can ask me. If you're a basic subscriber, you could ask me to do a screenshot. I won't mind that. That's not really a problem, but you'd need to get spreadsheet access if you want to see the bubbles. And there's the Aussie Swiss, and you note that the Swiss bubble's large, and that's kind of strange because it should be smaller. So this tells us that there's a reversal in play. We should see large bubbles here, small bubbles up here. And the fact that we're getting large bubbles here, we're seeing a potential reversal on Euro and Swiss. So you've got to be careful. And watch the bubble logic videos, the position and size. It's in Discord. And that's how you can detect reversals. And yields fell for the most part. The 3 month did rise. And the 12-month did rise, but ever so slightly. And this is fairly risk on. If that's like an exception, really. That one and that one. But I guess they were not so scared about the Jackson Hole event. If they were, these would have spiked on the day prior. So you would have thought that these would have all spiked higher, but maybe they anticipated not too much fear. So we'll have to wait and see with that. And we've got the Powell speech in 6 hours' time. It's a long way away, so remember to trade carefully and know when not to trade as well. That's one thing that you need to do. I don't tend to trade Fridays because, one thing that the retail guys get paid on Friday, and the logic, the Monday to Thursday, you should made enough money not to trade Friday. Friday, you can hand back your profits back to the market, and I'm not a massive fan of that at all. The failure rate on the majors is very low. This is the global failure rate. This is the major. So these currency pairs, and so it's very low. It's very much payday. Look, CAD yen, Swiss yen, Euro yen. They're all getting paid on their shifting. So be careful. Okay, and this is risk off, but they were risk on because of the VIX. So this needs to sort itself out a little bit on the yield curve. We want increments higher over time. We don't want to see it come down there. So we've got an inversion basically. It's not that healthy. UK 100, US 30, they're dark colours, dark reds, fairly dark anyway, and the dollar Swiss is a green, but we see mismatch. So, like I'm saying about not trading Friday today, particularly that we've got the big risk event and things are out of bonk, right? So that's we want red and red to align and green to align, but nothing really is. So be careful. I think, so just be careful there. This is the USD rolled over from Friday, so we can see the performance. There's Aussie USD, it's performed well, and the Euro USD has performed poorly. And so that's you can derive a signal from that. We can trade the Euro Oz. Right, we'd strip out the USD, and you've got Euro weakness and Aussie strength. So look at the Euro Oz chart, and down we came, just from technicals only. That's just a technical analysis. That went out 8:09, so half an hour ago, and there was a caveat there, as we've got the big risk event, so whether or not it's going to pan out, we don't really know for sure. And they have got pretty squished this week. We had an amazing hit rate on our bubbles, so logically it tells us that we might see a little bit of payday, because they got absolutely destroyed really badly on the Aussie positions. So yeah, they might have to get paid. Otherwise, they'll leave the casino, and then the big fish will lose their liquidity, well, a portion of their liquidity, and that's in retail stops, especially if they don't come back to the casino. So where was DAX? Oh, there we go. So we flip-flop on the zero, didn't we? And now they're shorting it. So if they short it, that number is going to get away from zero. It's going to be a stronger buy over time. This S&P, so they sold it. Up we come. They sold it. Up we come. Now Hexagon warrants a little bit of care and attention, because if they long, then we'll fall. So pretty good demo of this. Pretty happy. And they sold it again, and up we come. Hexagon is warrants a care and attention. Likewise, there isn't any indication of a cross here currently. I'm going to do a quick 2-minute video summary of these in Discord, just to see where we are right now, because time has passed since. So the sentiment changes very quickly, so we have to keep an eye on things. There's a fairly decent diagonal there, so we might see a break of that diagonal, then they'll short it. And if they sell it, then it'll just be a fake break, and then we'll continue higher. Right. Gold, the sideways, so avoid this. This is not good. You don't want to be trading it when it's going sideways. You see that went sideways here, then they sold it, so up we come. Right, so they might do a similar thing where it goes sideways and they sell it, and we'll ramp up. It's a big move there, so be very careful. And this is going to move a lot on the risk event as well, because Powell will be talking inflation a lot, and that's going to probably appreciate. We'll have to wait and see. The thing is with gold is that we are sell at the high level and dynamically we're a sell, so it could be a payday for gold, the traders on gold today. The stop loss cluster is 1901, which is bonkers. Okay, the largest move was AU, and see how we got a mismatch. At the high level it's a sell, but dynamically it's a buy. I think this is probably going to flip on Monday, and then will be a buy at the high level on Aussie. That all depends if the retail guys hold on to their trade, which they might do. They might hold on to it over the weekend, and they might even add to it on Monday. If they do, they're going to get pretty hammered. And largest stop loss clusters NU below, so that makes a nice change. It's normally Aussie USD, it's now Kiwi USD, so we've got a new liquidity target, 61.50. Whether or not it's going to get there, we'll have to have a risk off event, and then we'll probably definitely get that liquidity, but it depends on if we're risk on or risk off. So if you need to know what risk on is, it's when stocks are going up. Risk off is when stocks are coming down, and the Kiwi USD is going to be impacted by that risk sentiment, because the New Zealand dollar is riskier than the USD. So that's going to perform well on a risk on. If stocks are going higher, this should do quite well. So you need to keep an eye on your risk appetite. And this is why we look at the risk calculation. This is why it's at the very top. This sets the precedence for everything. Okay, where the general risk appetite. That's why we look at it at the very, very top of the bulletin. And where are we? So I did this and that, this and that, this and that. Yeah, I don't need to talk about that. You can just read that, and then it's self-explanatory. So there's the date. We're coming close to it now. And this is for fxssi.com. And do get yourself the indicators. They're absolutely amazing. Payday, which I said, it has increased since they made the bulletin. And we should see it around 80%, because 80% of the time retail traders lose money. So this is a little bit out of whack. We want this quite a bit higher. And once it gets to 80%, then you can enter knowing that the trap has been placed. And then you've got that probability and logic behind you. The forex market is a big money making machine where it wants to trap the small fry. And just a reminder, the signals going pretty good. We're going to look at max bubbles next week, and we're going to have them go alongside our old signals, and then after a couple of weeks we'll compare the two against each other, and then we'll see which one's better. I think the max bubbles are going to be better, and it's certainly easier for me to administer as well, because the old signals, there's a lot of recording, and we had quite a few false messages and things like that, and it can be quite infuriating, especially if you're in the trade and it goes false but it still looks okay. The false tells you that basically the sentiment has shifted away, or the technicals have shifted. So the max bubbles have a little bit more freedom, and it's easier for me to admin. But we can run them side by side. It's not really a problem. This would be my preference. It's less work for me, and you can see the hit rate was pretty phenomenal this week. Really, really happy with the trial. And there's the technical indicators. Aussie USD was the first one to move away. It was strong sell, then it's sell. Now we're going to neutral. Logically, where's it going to go next? It's going to go to buy, and then strong buy. So this is what I'm saying about Aussie. Keep an eye on this on Monday, and we'll have to see how we go with that. And economic calendar, well, yeah, just that, isn't it? So 6 hours time, and keep calm, always trade safely. I can't say this enough, because I've seen so many people come and go in the Quasidb system, and it's a shame, because I want to keep you guys, but you won't hang around if your risk management is poor and you lose money. So risk management is absolutely king. Know when to trade and when not to trade. Know your size, and do know that we've got logic behind us. We've got an excellent system, like one of the best systems, because we're using probability. Then if your risk management is poor, an amazing system like Quasidb, it will fail because your risk management. So that's absolutely imperative, right? I don't want to see you guys go. I want to try and build this community of ours. So just trade carefully, and you'll be fine. And even if you have to use smaller sizes, or not even trade at all, because we've got this risk event. If you followed the max bubbles this week, you would have done well. So if you're struggling with your own trades, you could just follow the max bubbles, and we did pretty amazing, to be honest with you. And Sunday we've got a Q&A, and it'll be the end of the trial. So after the Q&A, when I've done that, then I'll simply delete the trial users, and then you'll have to sub, which is there, that Patreon address there. And that's it. So have a great weekend, and whatever you get up to on the weekend, have a good one. And I'll speak to you on Sunday. If you don't turn up to the Q&A, that's fine. That's no worries. I'll probably record it anyway, and then I'll speak to you on Monday for those who aren't attending.